Comparing yourself to others is one of the most destructive habits a person can develop, and yet almost everyone does it without realizing the cost. From the moment we wake up, society trains us to look at others and measure ourselves against them. Social media, workplace competition, family expectations, even casual conversations, everywhere you turn, there is someone else to compare yourself to. The problem is that comparison is a thief. It steals focus, energy, and potential. It keeps you trapped in a cycle where progress is measured by someone else's life instead of your own. The danger of comparison is that it is inherently misleading. When you look at someone else, you see the highlight reel, not the full story. You see their successes, their possessions, their status, but you rarely see the sacrifices, failures, or struggles that created those results. Judging your own life against someone else's carefully curated image is unfair, inaccurate, and mentally damaging. It creates a sense of inadequacy that has nothing to do with your real performance, your real potential, or your real path. Comparison also breeds resentment. When you constantly measure yourself against others, it's impossible to feel content with your own progress. No matter how much you accomplish, someone else always appears to be ahead. This fosters frustration, envy, and self-doubt. Instead of using your energy to push forward, you spend it on mental distractions, worrying about things that are beyond your control. You waste time obsessing over others' successes instead of building your own. The biggest issue is that comparison shifts your focus outward instead of inward. Growth comes from self-reflection, accountability, and action. It comes from identifying where you are today and deciding how to move forward. When your attention is on someone else, you stop asking the most important questions. Am I improving? Am I learning? Am I getting closer to my goals? You are distracted by someone else's journey, which is irrelevant to your own. Comparison also encourages imitation, not innovation. People who measure themselves against others often try to copy what they see, believing that following the same path will yield the same results. But what works for one person may not work for you. Your skills, resources, timing, and circumstances are different. Chasing someone else's template is a trap. It can make you predictable, unoriginal, and ultimately average. The only way to create extraordinary outcomes is to focus on your unique path, leverage your strengths, and act with conviction. When you compare, you also weaken your decision making. You second guess yourself because you're too busy wondering what others would do. You hesitate to take bold actions because someone else seems to have a better strategy, but life doesn't reward hesitation. Success comes to those who make decisions decisively, even without guarantees. If your attention is divided between your own goals and the perceived progress of others, your execution suffers. Mediocrity becomes a byproduct of distraction. Comparison also magnifies fear. Fear is natural when you step into growth, but when you add the lens of someone else's success, it becomes paralyzing. You start asking questions like, am I too slow? Am I too late? Can I ever catch up? These questions are toxic because they shift the focus from what you can control to what you cannot. Fear of being behind or missing out is amplified, and instead of using that energy to push forward, you become reactive and anxious. The antidote to comparison is total focus on yourself. Your only competitor is the person you were yesterday. Improvement should be measured in terms of your own effort, discipline, and results. Each day, ask yourself, am I stronger, smarter, and more capable than I was before? That is the only benchmark that matters. When you focus internally, fear becomes actionable. You see gaps to fix, skills to develop, and opportunities to seize. Instead of feeling powerless by someone else's achievements, focusing on yourself also builds resilience. When your validation comes from your own growth instead of external comparison, setbacks are easier to handle. You understand that failure is part of your journey, not a judgment from someone else's scoreboard. You can take risks, make mistakes, and learn without worrying about how it appears next to others' results. This mental independence is rare and extremely powerful. It's what separates people who achieve consistently from those who drift aimlessly. Finally, comparing yourself to others is a slow poison to motivation. At first, it may feel like a spark, like seeing someone succeed inspires you, but over time, it erodes confidence and focus. Inspiration fades, and only resentment, doubt, and distraction remain. Real motivation comes from within. It comes from defining your own vision, setting your own goals, and holding yourself accountable. When you channel your energy into yourself, you accelerate growth exponentially. If you want extraordinary results, stop looking sideways. Stop checking your progress against the achievements, possessions, or status of others. They are irrelevant to your journey. The only metric that matters is your own improvement, your own discipline, and your own ability to execute relentlessly. Comparison steals what matters most, your focus, your energy, and your results. The moment you eliminate it, you reclaim control, clarity, and power to build the life you deserve. Your energy is your most valuable resource, and it is finite. Every thought, every worry, every ounce of attention you give to someone else is energy that cannot be invested in your own growth. Most people fail not because they lack talent, opportunity, or even discipline, but because they spend their energy on the wrong things. They focus on what other people are doing instead of what they themselves could do. The truth is simple: where your energy flows, your life grows. If your energy is wasted on others, your own progress stalls. Focusing on yourself requires ruthless discipline. It means taking full responsibility for your actions, your habits, and your results, and ignoring distractions that come from outside. When your mind is constantly occupied with what others have, what others achieve, or what others think, you lose clarity. You start chasing goals that aren't yours, copying strategies that don't fit your life, and measuring your worth by someone else's standard. This is the fastest way to stagnation. Energy spent on others is energy spent on things you cannot control. You cannot control other people's actions, their successes, their failures, or their opinions. Trying to do so is a form of self-sabotage. The moment you divert attention from your own path to someone else's is the moment your momentum stops. Every distraction steals focus. Every comparison drains mental strength. Every attempt to keep up with someone else weakens the discipline required to dominate your own life. Focusing on yourself is not selfish, it is strategic. Winners understand that self-mastery is the foundation of results. If your energy is scattered, you can't execute at the level required to achieve extraordinary outcomes. Those who consistently win allocate their energy towards skill development, strategic thinking, physical and mental conditioning, and disciplined execution. They protect their time, their attention, and their effort like it's currency, because it is. When you invest your energy in yourself, you accelerate growth. Every hour spent learning, practicing, and refining your craft compounds over time. Every ounce of effort put into building mental toughness, physical resilience, and emotional control pays dividends. Energy directed inward creates self-reliance. It makes you less dependent on approval, recognition, or comparison. You develop the ability to operate under pressure, adapt to challenges, and make decisions that align with your long-term goals. Most people underestimate how much energy is wasted on distractions. Social media alone consumes enormous mental bandwidth. Hours scroll past filled with images of other people's successes, lifestyles, or opinions. Every like, every comment, every post is designed to grab attention, and attention is energy. If you let it control you, you trade your own life for a curated illusion of someone else's. The result is frustration, envy, and paralysis. By reclaiming your focus and energy, you reclaim your potential. Energy directed outward also feeds comparison and fear. When you measure yourself against others, you create artificial standards. You start doubting your own progress, questioning your own choices, and second-guessing your abilities. This doubt consumes energy that could otherwise be used to take action. Fear thrives in distraction. Focused energy, however, creates momentum, courage, and clarity. Investing in yourself also means prioritizing what truly matters. Energy is finite, and every choice about where directed carries opportunity cost. If you spend hours worrying about someone else's path, you lose hours building your own. If you care more about perception than performance, you lose time mastering skills. If you obsess over outcomes you cannot influence, you drain the mental strength needed to dominate the outcomes you can influence. Protecting your energy is not indulgence, it is survival. When you focus your energy on yourself, results follow. You become more deliberate in your actions, more efficient in your work, and more resilient to setbacks. You stop reacting to the noise of others' achievements and start creating your own reality. Growth becomes inevitable because energy has direction, effort has purpose, and attention has focus. You start winning not by chance, but by design. The difference between average people and high achievers is often not talent, not intelligence, and not opportunity. It's energy allocation. High achievers treat their focus as sacred. They recognize that wasted attention and energy equals wasted life. Every distraction avoided, every comparison ignored, every ounce of effort redirected inward compounds into skill, discipline, and results. Focusing on yourself also builds confidence. When you measure progress by your own standards instead of others, you gain control over your narrative. You see tangible results from your effort. You stop worrying about being good enough in someone else's eyes because your worth is measured by what you do, not what others do. This confidence fuels further action, creating a feedback loop that multiplies results. Ultimately, your energy is the raw material of achievement. How you use it determines whether you stay average or become exceptional. Stop investing it in the lives, opinions, and successes of others. Stop letting distractions dictate your priorities. Protect your energy. Focus on yourself relentlessly. Master your mind, your habits, and your actions. When your energy is fully invested in your own growth, there's no limit to what you can achieve. Social media is one of the most powerful tools in human history, but it's also one of the most dangerous when misused. It gives the illusion of connection, progress, and inspiration while silently eroding focus, energy, and clarity. Most people scroll endlessly, comparing their lives to curated highlight reels, feeling inadequate without realizing that every swipe steals attention from their own growth. Social media is not a roadmap, it is a distraction disguised as information. Understanding this distinction is crucial if you want to dominate your own life. Every platform is designed to capture attention. Likes, comments, and shares are engineered to trigger emotional responses that keep you scrolling. You think you are learning or networking, but what you are really doing is feeding someone else's agenda. Every minute spent on someone else's curated content is a minute not spent developing your skills, your business, your mind, or your body. The cost is invisible but enormous. Over months and years, the cumulative distraction can be the difference between mediocrity and mastery. One of the most dangerous effects of social media is comparison. You see someone posting a luxury vacation, a promotion, or a new car, and your mind immediately measures your own life against it, but you are not seeing the reality behind the post. You are not seeing the failures, the risks, the sacrifices, or the late nights. Comparison in this context is poisonous because it's based on an illusion. Judging yourself against an incomplete picture fosters frustration, envy, and self-doubt. Instead of focusing on what you can control, you waste mental energy on what you cannot. Social media also encourages procrastination under the guise of preparation. People convince themselves that scrolling through motivational quotes, success stories, or strategy tips is research or learning, when in reality it is avoidance. Action is uncomfortable. Taking steps toward your goals requires courage, discipline, and risk. Social media offers a dopamine hit without any of the discomfort, so it becomes a trap, a way to feel productive without actually moving forward. Another danger is that social media fosters reactive thinking instead of proactive strategy. Notifications, trending topics, and viral content train the brain to chase the next stimulus rather than focus on long-term objectives. Attention becomes fragmented. Decisions are made in the moment rather than with strategy. The result is that people work harder but accomplish less. They are busy being inspired by everyone else while their own plans stagnate. The irony is that social media often promotes the wrong benchmarks. It glorifies speed, appearance, and visibility over depth, discipline, and results. Someone's follower count, likes, or virality can make them seem successful, but these metrics rarely reflect true mastery or wealth creation. Judging your life against these superficial markers is dangerous. You start valuing the wrong things, chasing outcomes that don't matter, and measuring progress with the wrong ruler. To protect yourself, you must treat social media like a tool, not a mirror. Use it intentionally, strategically, and sparingly. Learn from what adds value, but ignore everything else. Limit exposure to distraction and create boundaries that preserve your focus. For example, schedule time for social media rather than letting it dictate your day. Curate your feed to include only content that contributes to growth, learning, or connection that matters. Everything else is noise. Focusing on your own life requires reclaiming attention. Your time and energy are finite. Every moment spent consuming someone else's highlights is a moment not invested in mastering yourself. Action always beats observation. Skills are developed through practice, networks are built through engagement, and success is earned through execution, not likes or comments. When you realize that, the lure of social media diminishes. Ignoring social media entirely is extreme for most people, but minimizing its influence is critical. You must internalize that the world is full of distractions masquerading as guidance. Social media is one of the most seductive of these. Its messages are designed to provoke emotion, comparison, and reaction. If you act on every stimulus, your energy is scattered and your path forward is slowed. Those who master focus treat social media as a servant, not a master. The difference between those who succeed and those who drift is often attention management. High achievers protect their focus with the same rigor they protect capital. They understand that the most valuable currency is mental energy, and they do not waste it on curated illusions of other people's lives. Every hour spent on social media without purpose is an hour stolen from personal growth, skill acquisition, and strategic execution. Finally, focusing on yourself instead of social media builds self-reliance. Your motivation becomes internal, not dependent on external validation or comparison. You develop the discipline to act without applause, the clarity to prioritize your objectives, and the resilience to keep moving despite distractions. Action, not observation, becomes your default state. In conclusion, social media is a double-edged sword. It can inform, connect, and inspire, but only when used intentionally. Left unchecked, it destroys focus, fosters comparison, and steals energy. To achieve extraordinary results, you must treat it as a tool, not a roadmap. Direct your energy inward, commit to your own growth, and let action, not feeds, notifications, or trends dictate your trajectory. The life you build will never be a reflection of someone else's highlight reel. It will be the product of your relentless focus on yourself. Only you control your results. This is a truth that most people resist because it comes with accountability, responsibility, and the loss of excuses. It's far easier to blame circumstances, the economy, a boss, or even luck when things don't go your way. It feels safer to watch, judge, and comment on the lives of others than to take full ownership of your own outcomes. But here's the hard reality: no one else is responsible for your progress, your failures, or your victories. Your results are the direct consequence of your decisions, your actions, and your willingness to act relentlessly in the face of uncertainty. When you focus on controlling others or comparing yourself to them, you surrender control over what actually matters. Other people's actions, successes, or failures have zero bearing on your potential unless you let them dictate your behavior. The moment you chase someone else's path, your own diminishes. Every hour spent trying to outshine, match, or emulate another person is an hour. Not invested in building your own abilities, refining your skills, and executing your vision. True power comes from recognizing that the only variable you can control is yourself. Accountability is the foundation of results. When you fully accept that no one else is responsible for your outcomes, excuses evaporate. Complaining about a bad boss, difficult circumstances, or unfavorable timing stops being relevant. These factors always exist. Life is unpredictable. The difference between winners and everyone else is that winners do not wait for perfect conditions, they act anyway. They accept responsibility for making things happen, adjusting when obstacles arise, and relentlessly pursuing progress even when external factors are unfavorable. Control over your results also requires discipline. It's not enough to acknowledge responsibility. In theory, you must act on it consistently. Discipline is doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it, even when others are distracted, and even when the outcome is uncertain. Most people fail because they rely on external motivation, hoping someone or something will make success easier. Those who would understand that control is internal, your effort, your persistence, and your decisions are the only levers you have to move your life forward. Ownership also demands courage. Taking full responsibility for your results means you cannot hide behind failure, luck, or blame. You must confront your mistakes, analyze your missteps, and adapt. Many avoid this because it's uncomfortable. Accountability exposes weakness. It forces you to answer hard questions. Did I give enough effort? Did I make smart decisions? Did I follow through? Avoiding these questions may feel comfortable, but it guarantees stagnation. When you focus solely on your own actions and outcomes, clarity emerges. You stop being reactive to the noise of others' achievements or criticisms. You start to make strategic decisions based on your goals and strengths. This clarity is powerful. It allows you to prioritize tasks that truly matter, eliminate distractions, and dedicate your energy to actions that yield tangible results. High achievers live in this clarity. Average people drift in confusion, wondering why effort doesn't translate into progress. Another critical aspect is the mental freedom that comes from focusing on what you control. When your attention is on others, you become reactive. Your mood, decisions, and actions start to hinge on external factors, someone's success, someone's criticism, or some trend. This is exhausting and ineffective. When you focus on yourself, you remove that dependency. Your mindset, performance, and results become a function of your own input. This independence is liberating, and it's a hallmark of all high performers. Taking control also sharpens decision-making. When your results are entirely in your hands, every choice becomes consequential. This forces you to prioritize, plan, and act deliberately. You stop wasting time on petty distractions, gossip, or comparison. Each decision is measured by its impact on your goals. This approach compounds over time, creating exponential growth because your actions are consistent, aligned, and intentional. People often underestimate how much control they actually have. They assume that success is about opportunity, luck, or timing. While these factors exist, they are secondary. The primary determinant of results is consistent, disciplined action. You can't control every variable, but you can control how hard you work, how smart you plan, how quickly you learn from mistakes, and how persistently you pursue your goals. Focus on these levers and your results will follow. Another layer of control comes from mindset, how you interpret challenges, setbacks, and opportunities is entirely your responsibility. Two people can face the same situation and experience completely different outcomes because of their perspective. High achievers focus on solutions, learning, and opportunity. Average individuals focus on blame, luck, and unfairness. Your mindset is the lens through which results manifest, and it's entirely under your control. Finally, control over your results builds confidence and momentum. When you accept responsibility and act relentlessly, you stop waiting for validation. You stop seeking permission. You learn to trust your judgment and your ability to execute. This trust compounds. Each decision you make, each risk you take, and each goal you pursue builds evidence that you can control your own destiny. Momentum builds because consistent action breeds success, and success breeds confidence to take even bolder action. In the end, no one will hand you results. No one owes you progress. No one is responsible for your victories or failures. Your results are a reflection of your choices, effort, and discipline. Stop blaming others. Stop comparing yourself. Stop being reactive. Take full control of your actions. Focus relentlessly on your own execution, and commit to owning every outcome. This is the mindset that separates winners from spectators, leaders from followers, and those who dominate life from those who drift through it. Responsibility is not a word most people like to hear because it comes with weight, accountability, and no shortcuts. It requires looking at your life squarely and admitting that your results, good or bad, are the direct outcome of your choices, actions, and effort. Many people avoid responsibility because it's uncomfortable. It's easier to blame the economy, other people, circumstances, or even luck than to face the truth that no one else is accountable for your successes or failures. But if you want extraordinary results, embracing responsibility is non-negotiable. It is the foundation of power, growth, and lasting achievement. When you take responsibility for your life, you stop being a victim of circumstance. Life will never be perfectly fair. There will always be setbacks, obstacles, and unfair situations. Those who wait for the world to align with their comfort will never achieve greatness. Taking responsibility means accepting that no one is coming to save you and no one owes you results. The world does not hand out success, it rewards effort, courage, and ownership. When you fully internalize this, you shift from reacting to circumstances to creating outcomes. You take control of your destiny because you stop relying on external factors to dictate your path. Responsibility forces clarity. When you admit that your results are entirely in your hands, excuses become irrelevant. Complaining about lack of opportunity, poor timing, or other people's decisions becomes a waste of energy because nothing externally can replace your effort. You begin to audit your life honestly. You identify where you are falling short, what habits are holding you back, and what decisions must change. This self-assessment is uncomfortable, but it is the engine of growth. Those who refuse it remain trapped in mediocrity. Ownership of your life also creates freedom. It may sound counterintuitive, but the moment you accept full responsibility, you stop being controlled by fear, opinion, or circumstance. You no longer seek validation because your progress is determined by your actions, not by approval from others. You no longer wait for permission because you understand that permission is irrelevant. Taking responsibility is liberating because it gives you the authority to act decisively, adapt quickly, and pursue your goals relentlessly. The life you build is no longer subject to chance, it is the product of deliberate, consistent action. Responsibility breeds confidence and courage. Most people fail not because they lack talent, but because they are unwilling to act decisively under pressure. When you take ownership of your choices, you also take ownership of the risk and uncertainty that comes with them. You accept that mistakes will happen and setbacks will occur, but you also know that you have the power to correct course. This breeds a mental toughness that is rare in a world where many people passively hope for results. Confidence grows because you prove to yourself every day that you can handle what life throws at you. Taking responsibility also eliminates distraction. When you are focused on your own actions, habits, and growth, the noise of others' lives becomes irrelevant. Comparison, envy, and external judgment lose power over your mind. You stop measuring yourself against illusions or highlight reels because you are busy executing on what matters. Responsibility forces you to concentrate your energy on variables you can control, your decisions, effort, discipline, and mindset. This focus is what separates winners from spectators. Another key aspect of responsibility is accountability to yourself. You stop relying on motivation, luck, or circumstances to push you forward. Your success depends on consistent effort, preparation, and execution. Responsibility teaches you to set high standards and hold yourself to them regardless of comfort or external recognition. It forces you to confront excuses and break free from complacency. The stronger your sense of accountability, the less tolerance you have for mediocrity in yourself. Responsibility also accelerates learning. When you own every result, whether success or failure, you gain valuable feedback. Failures are no longer disasters caused by external factors. They are data points for improvement. Wins are no longer lucky breaks. They are proof that your strategy, effort, and execution work. By internalizing the outcomes of your actions, you develop faster, smarter, and more resilient decision-making over time. This iterative process compounds into mastery. The unwillingness to accept responsibility is what keeps most people average. They blame circumstances, criticize others, and wait for opportunities that may never come. Winners do the opposite. They accept the burden of responsibility because they understand that ownership is the gateway to control, power, and results. The more responsibility you accept, the more influence you have over your life, and the more freedom you create to pursue extraordinary goals. In the end, responsibility is the ultimate differentiator between those who drift and those who dominate. No one else is accountable for your life, your progress, or your success. Excuses, blame, and denial only delay growth. True achievement comes when you fully embrace responsibility, act decisively, and take ownership of every outcome. This mindset transforms setbacks into lessons, mistakes into strategy, and effort into results. Responsibility is not a burden. It is the most powerful tool you have to shape your destiny and achieve greatness. Taking full responsibility for your life requires a level of self-discipline and mental toughness that most people are unwilling to confront. Responsibility is not something you claim when convenient. It is something you live every single day, in every decision, in every action, in every failure, and in every success. The people who achieve extraordinary results are not necessarily luckier or more talented than anyone else. They're the ones who embrace responsibility when it is uncomfortable, who take ownership of their actions when the easier option is to blame others, and who persist when excuses and distractions beckon. Responsibility transforms thinking into action because it forces clarity, focus, and accountability. Most people avoid responsibility because it is uncomfortable. It exposes weaknesses, mistakes, and the gaps between where you are and where you want to be. It forces you to confront the reality that no one is coming to rescue you and no one is going to hand you success. You are the operator of your life, and that truth can feel heavy, even overwhelming. Many people prefer to blame circumstances, the economy, bosses, colleagues, or external factors. It may temporarily ease discomfort, but it also ensures stagnation. Avoiding responsibility is a guarantee that your potential will remain untapped, while embracing it is the first step toward mastery. Responsibility demands honesty. It requires you to look at your performance and your decisions with brutal clarity. When you fail to meet your goals, you cannot point the finger outward. You must analyze what you did, what you did not do, and what you could have done differently. This level of self-examination is uncomfortable, but it is essential for growth. Those who shy away from responsibility often live in illusions, rationalizing poor outcomes and ignoring the lessons hidden within failure. Winners face their mistakes head on and extract the lessons that turn setbacks into stepping stones. Taking responsibility also strengthens mental toughness. Life is unpredictable and challenges are inevitable. You cannot control the timing of obstacles, the behavior of other people, or the fluctuations of fortune. What you can control is your reaction, your strategy, and your effort. Responsibility trains you to respond rather than react. It forces you to make decisions under pressure, to take action in uncertainty, and to adapt when plans do not unfold as expected. Over time, this builds resilience, the ability to endure stress, setbacks, and criticism without losing momentum. A critical part of responsibility is understanding the distinction between blame and accountability. Blame is passive, it is external and reactive. Accountability is active, it is internal and proactive. Accountability means asking, what is my role in this outcome and what can I do to improve it? Blame is destructive. It wastes mental energy on things you cannot control. Accountability is constructive. It focuses energy on things you can influence. By embracing accountability, you transform failures from dead ends into data, from criticism into insight, and from obstacles into opportunities. Responsibility also teaches self-reliance. When you accept that your results are entirely your own, you stop waiting for permission, validation, or luck. You understand that no one else is going to push you harder, correct your mistakes, or set your priorities for you. This mindset fosters independence, initiative, and decisiveness. You no longer compare yourself to others because you know that the only metric that matters is your own performance, improvement, and progress. The freedom that comes from self-reliance is empowering. It allows you to act boldly without fear of external judgment. Taking responsibility requires consistent action. It is not enough to acknowledge it intellectually, you must live it daily. Every choice, every habit, every decision matters because each contributes to the results you achieve. Small failures in responsibility compound into mediocrity, just as consistent ownership compounds into extraordinary success. Discipline, focus, and accountability are not optional, they are mandatory. Winners treat responsibility as non-negotiable because they understand that every outcome is a reflection of their effort and decisions. Embracing responsibility also builds confidence. When you consistently take ownership of your actions, you develop a track record of competence and reliability. You learn that you can handle setbacks, recover from mistakes, and create results even under pressure. This confidence is not arrogance, it is grounded in evidence. Each time you accept responsibility and act decisively, you reinforce your ability to navigate challenges and achieve goals. Confidence then becomes self-perpetuating. The more responsible you are, the more capable you feel, and the more capable you act. Finally, responsibility transforms your mindset from reactive to proactive. People who avoid responsibility are constantly reacting to circumstances, trying to fix problems created by others, or chasing opportunities that appear externally. Those who embrace it take initiative. They anticipate challenges, plan ahead, and execute relentlessly. They do not wait for success to find them. They create it through disciplined, consistent, and accountable action. Responsibility is the lens through which every decision is sharpened, every failure is analyzed, and every success is built. In essence, taking responsibility is the single greatest differentiator between those who achieve greatness and those who drift through life. It eliminates excuses, strengthens resolve, builds resilience, and amplifies focus. It transforms failures into lessons, setbacks into opportunities, and effort into results. There are no shortcuts, and there is no external savior. Success is not given, it is earned through relentless ownership of your actions, your choices, and your results. Those who embrace responsibility gain control over their destiny and lay the foundation for extraordinary achievement.